Thank you, Wasim, and thank you, Christophe and Nafi, for the invitation. Yes, I need this. Thanks. And really pleasure to be here to discuss about deep tech. I think this is really an important topic, and for us, and that's the message I want to convey today. My message is the work that we are all doing on deep tech is of real importance. I'll have two chapters to go through. One is about the general introduction, and the second one is more about deep tech in Africa and emerging markets. And for those who do not focus, I'll have 5 takeaways. So ensure you wake up at that moment, right? When we speak of deep tech today, this is what we think of. We think of OpenAI, Sam Altman and its LLM. We think of SpaceX, Tesla, and humanoid robots, and all the Elon Musk galaxy. We think of synthetic biology. We think of fusion as a new source of energy, augmented reality, all the Starlink, what Starlink is doing, quantum computing, and many other things. But what is the deep tech? Let's try to define it. And one definition that we can use is to say that deep tech is the intersection of startups that have very high technical complexity and at the same time very high market disruption. So as an engineer, like many of us in the room, how many engineers in the room? Actually, not that many. All right. We think of things in matrix. So if we take the matrix of level of technical complexity and level of market disruption, then on the top right, we have deep tech startups. If we try to fill out the matrix, right, and we look at companies that have very high technical complexity, but not yet market adoption. This is pure research. If we go now on companies that are very innovative, disrupting the market, but with low technical complexity, these are more business model innovations. And as companies mature, we have low technical complexity and low market disruption. These are more mature businesses. So we see that there is this cycle from scientific research that is feeding into deep tech startups that are becoming mature businesses, and also business model innovations that is happening a lot in Africa that are becoming also mature businesses as they develop. If we try to put some logos there, right? On the top right, we have our OpenAIs, we have our Teslas, SpaceX, InstaDeeps, and the rest. On the bottom right, we have all what is business model innovations. We see a lot of African companies here, from the Soccer Watches, the Moves, InDrive is also there, Bumble, and others. While mature companies like Uber and Jumia and Spotify, these were creating deep tech in the past and now are more mature, established companies. So maybe first takeaway here is deep tech startups are really at this intersection of high technical complexity and high market disruption on the top right of our matrix for the engineers. Now, if you look back and take this definition and say, okay, what are the inventions and the technologies in the past that brought this high technical complexity and high market disruption? And we were doing this exercise and thinking about it, and we saw that many of these inventions are very common for us today. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you have flown to come here, have used your PC either yesterday or today. This is very common, And it has impacted so many aspects of our life. The way we trade, the way we communicate, the way we live, move, and work. I'll take just one example out of this because we are in Tunis today. And the example is the first one. The first one, this is the Carthaginian ship. At that time, that was the highly technological way of moving in the sea. So that was the most advanced maritime technology at that time, and that allowed Carthaginians and Romans after them to dominate the Mediterranean, and so to do commerce and to do war. So this is, and as you're here in Tunis, the Punic port is 25 minutes away from here. So if you have never visited, you should go. This is where this technology was built 3,000 years ago. So all these technologies were deep tech at the time. And my takeaway number 2 is deep tech is moving through time. All these inventions are not static. They move, right? They change with the time. And some deep technologies today are very common tomorrow, and things advance. But there is one thing that is common. There is one thing that is common is how all of us react to this. And our reaction is a mix of excitement and fear. If you think that writing was accused at the time, right? Writing was accused of, at the time, of making people lazy, right? That printing was accused at the time of spreading misinformation. And my favorite is light, electricity, public light. In the early 1900s, public light was accused of inciting young men to drink and to gamble on the streets. And so, I mean, there was people trying to ban public light for that. I'm not saying this is not true. I'm sure many of us have been drinking outside at night and maybe gambling, but it's not a reason enough to ban public light. The one on the bicycle is really nice also, so I invite you to have a look at it. Just search on the internet. There is a nice podcast by Andreessen about it, so listen to it. It's really interesting. Takeaway number 3 is one. It comes with excitement and fear, but in the past, but also today. It's not changing, guys. It's not changing if you think of robotics in the 2018, if you think of biotech, our reaction, if you think of 5G, and of course all the discussions we're having today on AI. So it comes with a lot of excitement and a lot of fear. So these are a few thoughts on deep tech in general. Now let me deep dive into Africa and emerging markets. I think next slide for me is the most important one of my presentation. It's a study that has been done by the Inter-American Development Bank, and it says that out of the 17 United Nations Development Goals, we have 14 that absolutely need and require radical deep tech innovation in order to be realized. And 3 that require indirect deep tech innovation to be realized. So this means that without any deep tech innovation, none of the UN development goal will be realized. So this is just to insist, and I'll stop here, because all the work that you guys are doing is super important. It's really super important. Without this, none of these development goals that have been set by the UN will be realized. So this is really important for developing economy. So my first slide is about importance. The second one is about diversity. The diversity of the application that we see. The diversity of deep tech that are used today in emerging economy, from antibiotics, from delivery of blood in the hills in Rwanda, from using AR and augmented reality for diagnostics, from helping people to connect through Starlink. So it's really diverse of diversity of applications, and impactful, very impactful. This is just an example of a study that has been made about the impact of using AI in 4 countries in sub-Saharan Africa. So Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya. The impact, the economical value of the impact of using AI in these 4 countries has been estimated to $136 billion. This is huge. And what is more interesting is the diversity of the sectors. If you look at the x-axis, there are all these sectors that span from consumer on the left, agri, manufacturing, up to government. So deep tech is, 1, super important. 2, it's diverse, very diverse, and it's really impactful. And I think it's very important for our developing economies. And I would say it's a chance. Today, this wave of technology, it's a chance for us because it's a way for us to leapfrog and to get to more development in this emerging world. I think it's one of the only ways that would allow us to get there. I love this slide because it shows also the diversity of the application that our entrepreneurs are working on. I mean, we talked a lot about AI. We talked a lot about an InstaDeep. We talked a lot about Deepeco and in the health, the amazing work they're doing. Aerobotics in precision ag. What Cumulus is doing in terms of water. Just imagine if these guys are able to find a way to extract water from the air in a scalable, right, and affordable way. This is changing for our countries, right? This is really transformative, and I like what Octavia is doing, and this is the example that I'm gonna highlight today in the carbon capture. This is something we don't speak a lot about, but in order to achieve our climate objectives, this is also a global, very important thing. In order to get to net zero by 2050, the studies say that we need to capture between 8 and 10 billion tons of CO2, all right, out of the 50 that are emitted. The emissions are more or less 50 CO2 equivalent. This technology, there is one company in the world that is able to capture carbon from the air, direct air capture, and to sequester it today. There is one company that is able to do it in Northern Europe. Now, when you look deeper, Kenya, East Africa and Kenya in particular, have all the ingredients, geothermal energy, being on the equator, so temperature is steady, and the Rift Valley that have the geology that would allow them to sequester. So have all the ingredient and the unique positioning globally to be the best hub for this technology. So here is a chance, here is an opportunity for Africa, for us, to be the leaders in this technology that is transformative globally. Now, when I look at some numbers that have been provided by Brain and Brighter Bridges, and a hi to our friends at OST and Brain that are doing a great work on on deep tech. So first message is on the right with the growth that we see. There is a very interesting growth in the amount of funding that went to Africa on deep tech in the last couple of years. But still, and let's be honest and frank, the numbers are still low. I mean, if you look at the last decade and you see that only 3 billion went to African deep tech, we have only 300-ish companies that are building deep technologies in Africa. The ecosystem is still nascent. There is a lot of work that still needs to be done, and our share of the global pie is 1.2%. So quite small, very lower than population percentage and GDP percentage. So we need more work, and we need more countries on that map that are in green. So most of the deep tech companies today are coming from South Africa, from Kenya, from Egypt, Tunis, etc. But we want all the countries to be in green. We want more companies. I know a lot of work is done in West Africa, a lot of work is done in Morocco, in Rwanda, and etc. Hopefully we'll get more colors on our map. One interesting point here to mention, and one interesting correlation, is the correlation that we found between the number of deep tech companies in each country and the quality of the education. Quality of the education and the quality of the universities in each country. It's fantastic how it's correlated. So takeaway number 5 is that a lot of things are done, but we're still at the beginning, and we need more work that to build the ecosystem. And the work, we needed to build role models, we needed to have corporates more involved, we need more work from investors like us, and develop the talent that will build these solutions. This is not exhaustive, of course. Many more people are working on this, and this is just a thank you slide for all the work that you guys have been doing on this. It's really amazing, and that's again super important. And this is my last slide. I want to finish with this one, and with this key message is that the work that you're doing here is not at the edge, is really central. It's super important to build these companies, because that's the future, and that what will allow us to solve and some of these very important problems, and to achieve hopefully all of the 17 UN development goals. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yassine. We can probably take 1 or 2 questions.
Thank you very much, Yassine, for your insightful presentation. So I'd like to have your thoughts. So in the VC world, it all started with deep tech when Arthur Rock invested in Intel and in the semiconductor industry, and then they got away. VC money got away from deep tech as capital intensive, and now I think as I'm seeing the global VCs are getting back. Are we done with from VC perspective? Are we done with investing in the social platforms and the e-commerce platforms, as they are not very much protectable protectable and easy to replicate, and the VCs are more keen to invest in capital intensive and more riskier business, but with high barriers to entry?
Thank you, Saif. This is, I think, a really interesting question. And my perspective on this, it's that it's cycles. Today, it's a cycle where we have more money going into more disruptive technologies, because that would allow VCs to get the return and the scale that they want. The others are becoming more mature. So if we take my engineering matrix, I think some of these technologies are going to the bottom left, and so there is less disruption and less scale, while deep techs are more disruptive today, and new technologies. If you think of the last years, where I think more half went to AI applications, and lot has been to climate tech, etc. So more disruptive, and I think this will stay for some time till these technologies move and become more mature, and the money will still flow there from VCs, and then it will move away and go to the next wave of innovation. So I think it's really about cycles, and how fast these technology are able to mature.
Another question?
Thank you.
I'm actually glad he asked a more technical question, because mine's a bit more philosophical or fun, you could say. I want to know how you see AI affecting us as humans when it eventually reaches that critical mass where most AI devices or AI deployments are interconnected, including the robots you mentioned, including the autonomous cars, the robots that work in factories, your washing machine are all interconnected. And then AI then begins to make a judgment on humans, because eventually it's going to reach that point where it starts to look at us. And my question basically is, do you see AI taking on our nature and becoming human-like, self-destructive, destructive to the environment, etc.? Or do you see it moving in the opposite direction, where it looks at us like, you're a cancer on this planet. If we removed you, then the ecosystem would work much more efficiently, and we as AI wouldn't have to worry about babysitting this so-called creator that's actually destroying everything. So I just want to know what you think around that. Please expand as much as you want, because honestly, whenever I hear about AI, I just jump to that, and I'm like, aren't we heading towards a brick wall, or black hole?
Yeah, thanks for the question. This is really interesting. I don't know what's going to happen. What I know is what happened in the past, and I think that, yeah, AI is special, but at each technology, we thought that the technology that we had at that time was special. So maybe AI is really different than the rest. I would say most probably it's a new technology that will come and that will adapt and will impact us in a positive and negative way like others. But I mean, the likelihood of it being that transformative, for me, looking back at the history and at all the examples that to us seem so simple today and so common, I say, okay, I tend to be on the positive side of things and saying, okay, this is technology that we will be able to master in a way, or the other, that will be transformative for us, but not like the dark scenario that many people are depicting. But that's my nature. That's me. I'm positive, try to look at the history and think of, okay, what have we seen before? What were people saying about printing, or about light, or about bicycle, or like, it's, okay. If they were thinking at that time of these consequences, so maybe if we try to abstract and take ourselves, okay, maybe we're in the same position. So let's continue. Let's think positively. Let's try to protect ourselves and move forward. And in any case, we will not stop the progress of technology. Thank you.
No last question? No? No. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this presentation. As a really quick follow-up onto the AI topic, I thought it was really interesting that you mentioned that the correlation between of deep tech in certain countries is follows very clearly with the quality of education in those countries. But when I look at AI and how it's used nowadays, one thing that causes a lot of anxiety to me is how our children in school is going to use this. And when they're so clearly given a very fast and concise and precise answer, how is that going to affect children actually spending time and effort onto their homework? And maybe that's not exactly related to what you've just been presenting, but I really want to hear your opinion on how we can use AI to foster a better quality of education and not necessarily make it available for everyone who might not use it in the way that it was intended?
So, for real, this is a really good question. AI as a new technology has its positive and its negatives. It is allowing a lot of us to learn faster, to search faster, but then it has its pitfalls. I think it's a trial and error. I don't think I have an answer to your question. I think we will all try. We will find solutions that will allow us to optimize the use of this technology. But again, if you think of what was said on writing at a point of time in history from humans like us, saying that this makes people lazy, you say, okay, let's be a bit critical of the thinking and believe in that we will find a way to optimize the use of this technology for the best outcome. So solution, I don't know, but I believe that we will find one.
Please.
Hello. So the last two questions were talking more about like the future and the applications of AI, but I wanted more to discuss about the state of AI or what is happening right now in Africa. There are a lot of advancements and there is a lot of work that's happening, but at the same time I see governments and regulators still struggling to understand these applications of AI and are really struggling to also create that kind of framework to help startups advance in the continent. So I would say, what do you think about the role of investors and the private sector to give a little bit of push, I would say, to the government or regulator and help them understand more and create that kind of framework?
I think we have a very important role to create such events, such gathering, and discuss all this technology and how we need the legal framework to adapt. I think also the media have a great role here, and Wasim is very well playing this role to sensitize the public to the role and to the importance of these technologies. Now AI is very advanced, but to be honest, some fintech regulation still needs to be reworked in our country. So I think we need to do it step by step, and I'm optimistic we will get there.
Last question.
Yassine, thank you very much for your inspiring, really, presentation.
Thank you.
I'd like really to get back to the question of the lady about the education. In fact, there is some studies that I really took to take a look on it. They show that most of the solution, I mean, in deep tech are coming from countries who has indeed, I mean, extremely deep and developed education, and they are in what we call the inquiry-based learning or project-based learning. In Tunisia, I have good experience in Esprit, where they are based on problem-based learning. And these will, will guide, I mean, the students really on, getting on real case studies to solve, I mean, real problem solutions. Africa is really missing, I mean, this kind of thing. Of course, when we see, I mean, the data that you've been really mentioning, the potential is huge. Following, I mean, the big problems that you have in education, I mean, in health, in many issues. How do you see that Africa could really fill the gap on that and be able indeed really to solve, I mean, both local and global problem with talents who are really missing such kind of education?
Thank you, Alaya. This is really an interesting and important question. I think the chance that we have today in this wave of technology is that this technology is allowing us to be decentralized, to have digital and to learn in Lagos from a teacher that is sitting in Helsinki. And that's a chance. I think that's a chance. That's a chance to leapfrog the infrastructure and to be able to pick and choose from all the information that is available. So I think that's the way maybe for us on the continent to be able to access to this knowledge and this method that will allow us to find the solution. And I think the role models, we don't need many, but having few role models of people that are building such technology and succeeded will drive all the young generation to such work. So it's easier, much easier for in other countries, but I think and I believe there is enough talent and there is enough information available for Africans and for people from emerging markets, because I believe the problems are the same, and we need to work together with people sitting in LATAM, people sitting in Asia, to solve the similar problems that we have. But your question is very important. It's crucial, and I think the chance that we have today is this accessibility that is no more a hurdle for us to access to education and to information.
Thank you, Yassine. On peut l'applaudir, bien sûr.